Soeren here, and welcome to my channel. For this lesson I will talk a little bit about making mistakes and how to deal with mistakes and how to diminish the amount of mistakes that you make. And most of you have probably tried to, when you want to record, if you have a video camera and you want to record yourself, or if you play a gig, professional gig where you get money to play. Most of you have probably tried that you get out of your comfort zone when you click the button on the video camera. You get out of the comfort zone and you start making mistakes. And the same thing, even much worse, when you play gigs. It's the same thing. You are nervous, maybe you didn't sleep well, maybe you have a little bit of bad stomach, and so you have to play anyway. So that's another story. So it's so important. This is what I found out, that it's so important that you learn not just by heart. You can learn to play by heart when you sit at home, you have a beer, you have a nice time, and that's great, and you really feel like playing. And but you also have to work with your brain, because as said, when you press the button on your video camera, or you have to play this gig, you have to know that you are more nervous than normal, and you need your brain as well. If you just play it by heart, it's a totally different situation when you need to play at this gig, or you have to make this recording on your video camera. It's just another story. So if you learn, this song, it starts in this key, it starts in this tempo, and it has this ending, it has this intro, it has this, the solo starts in the 13th fret, and so and so and so. And if you work all things through also with your brain, you will much likely play much less, make much less mistakes, whether you have a video recording or whether you play at a gig. So that's one of the most important advice I could give. Be prepared, and not just by play in your heart, but also by using your brain. And another thing about the video thing is that it's a little different from the live playing in that respect, that when you make a video take or a video recording, you could afterwards make overdubbings and change things. So you cannot do that when you play gigs. So there's a huge difference. But I don't think it's very musical to take out mistakes. It's in a way a very unmusical way to deal with mistakes. I personally prefer if there's a mega mistake, if there's a big mistake, then I would much rather just make a new mistake. So I think it's a more musical approach that way. So, and the last thing about the big philosophical thinking is that I think it's a good idea if you know yourself. So if you know your own strength in music, and then you can have, then most songs, whether you record them on the video camera or you play out gigs, it's always a good thing if you know yourself. And for instance, for me, I just know that I play good ballads and good slow blues, and so I really feel comfortable playing that. While with fast tempi, I feel much less comfortable, and I would be much more likely to make mistakes. So I try to work with a material that is more blues ballads thing. Maybe you have another preference and other things that you are good at, and it's stupid if you don't know that. You have to realize that you are just I mean, I could practice from now on, and for 100 years I would still be the same person, and my preference would be the slow blues and ballads. So I just know that, so I don't get angry, and so if I make mistakes when I play fast tracks, so I just know that I will make mistakes. So that helps me a lot. Okay, I have to be fast because I can see it gets dark outside. This is Danish winter. Okay, I will talk to you a little bit more about this being prepared, and that is whether you play or you record on a video recorder, but especially, of course, when you play gigs. And it's important to be sure about the tonality, about is this song in the key of A, or is it in C sharp or B flat. So I have tried personally, when I started playing a song, that my bassist, he told me, we're in the wrong key. And I said, no. Or I said to him, well, it's okay, but we just continue with this key. So then we try that out. And I could say that because I could relax, because I have been working through that. I knew what the tonality was. So you have 24 songs in the evening, so it's important that you know what tonality it's in. And you also need, which is really important and difficult, you have to know what tempo. I mean, if you play at home, you have a drum machine, and you have your tuner, and so you have this click track, or you can use your drums. But when you play a gig, you don't have these things, and you need to be good at if you want to play a slow blues at a tempo of 60 or 55 beats per minute, or if you want to play a shuffle with 126 beats per minute, you have to know these tempi, so that in a playing situation where you are nervous, there's a lot of noise, distractions, and you don't feel like playing, you still have to be able to play these at these tempos, and you have to get them at once. It's hell if you start in a wrong tempo, because it destroys everything. So you have to be quite sure about that you can count in, and you have to practice it at home, the counting in. And a thing that is also very neglected, I know that from my students, that's about practicing knowing about intros, practicing intros and outros. It's so important. I mean, the most are really focused on the solo, but normally you just play a guitar solo 1 minute of a 6 minute song, and you have the rest of the time you come. And you also have to be good at these intros and outros, because even if you make a sublime solo this 1 minute, there's all you have also the intros and the outros to think about. Because if you have a great solo section, but you have a really bad intro and outro, that will make you will not make an overall a good impression of your song. It's so important to have a good intro and a good outro, and you have to be prepared. How will you do that? And you have to make these rehearsals with your band so that they learn these intros and outros. I need some water. If you are the sensitive kind, like I am, you will often be quite nervous, whether you make a recording on your video camera, or especially when you play gigs. And I think that most of us in my band, we had our own rituals. That I had this ritual that I drank a small beer before the first set, and then I took another small beer at the second set. But you should never drink a big beer. I have tried that, and it's not a success. So no alcohol except maybe a little beer the first set, and a little beer and never more than that, because it can give you a little bit relaxing. You'll be a little more relaxed, but if you drink too much, you will get unfocused, and it's not a good idea. And another thing that you can try to work on if you're really nervous type is to work with your breathing. You have to breathe deep in and deep out, and so you have to get, and you have to feel the ground below yourself. So I tell you, if you start playing gigs and you're not used to that, it's really you can get really nervous. So breathing, deep breath, and feeling the ground beneath yourself, and is important. And a mistake I think that you should avoid is also that you should not stop the music. I mean, if you start in a wrong key, well, you have to play through it in a wrong key. And if you start in a wrong rhythm, that's worse. But if you can avoid it, it's really, really not good to have to stop the music and start from the beginning. That should not. It's not good. One thing also, if you want to avoid mistakes, and so the mistakes often come because there's a lot of noise in the room. There can be a lot of distraction and noise, and there can come a person who's drunk, and suddenly he starts to talk to you, and you are deep inside the music, and you get a shock. You get really shocked. So it's a good idea to be prepared for these situations so that you don't get that shock. Because if you play solo, you're just inside yourself. You don't know anything of what's happening in the room. And if some drunk person, he comes over, and so you can get a really shock, I tell you. So be prepared for these things, for unwanted or distracting behavior. I think that was about what I wanted to talk to you about, and the main thing here is to be prepared. And as you can write these things up that I told about in this video, because they are important. And I think the most important thing I told you in this video was that you have to be prepared, not just by heart, but also with your brain. And many musicians, they just learn things by heart, and they play when they feel like. And so you just have to know when you play at this and this gig, at this time, a year, part of the year, and where maybe you didn't sleep or you don't feel well, or so. It's just another situation. So it's so important, not just learning by heart, but also by brain.